Hey guys, welcome to the fifth and final installment of my Essence of PKing guide series. In this episode, I want to talk more in depth about what sorts of builds exist, their strengths, weaknesses, and combos, as well as commentate over a fight that I think illustrates the things we've been talking about well. Let's get into it. The main thing to think about when building a PKing account is the defense level. This is because unlike other combat stats that only affect your combat level situationally, defense will always raise your combat level. It might raise it not enough to give you a physical combat level, but it is going to raise it. Prayer and hit points also do this, but they're less important and they don't raise it as much, and so it's not a big of a deal. Because of this, I'm going to organize the builds that I talk about based on their defense level. Let's start. The first build I'm going to talk about is the Obsidian Maul Pure. This account, these are just sample stats. 1 attack, a decent-ish strength level. I have 75, but really anything between 60 and 80 works fine. Even 50 would be fine. 1 defense, ranged if you're going to use it, which I'll talk about in a second, and 31 prayer. 31 prayer is for protect item and ultimate strength. Protect item so that you can bring your Berserker Necklace. Berserker Necklace increases the damage of your Tzarkat Olm, also known as the Obsidian Maul, significantly, as well as the accuracy, so it's a great KO weapon for someone with 1 attack. And so what you're going to basically do is wear the Glory. For example, you could use an event RPG if you're only going to be using melee. Magic Shortbow is good for ranged, or Book of Law and Knives are really strong as well. And you basically just want to stack them out with a switch to the Tzarkat Olm and a Berserker Necklace. And this thing can hit very high. As for sample gear, I have like kind of the max gear you could possibly have, but Amethyst arrows if you're using magic shortbow, a halo if you have it. If you don't, you can just wear a coif. Fire cape, this is a little bit silly to have on a 31 account. 31 prayer account, some people do have it, but if not, you can just wear a team cape is fine. Leather body, chaps if you're using range. If not, just wear whatever you want. Mithril gloves or a combat bracelet. Boots should probably be leather boots, but you don't really have much options there, and a ring of recoil, of course. The next build I'm going to talk about is your basic G-Mauling build. This basically takes the previous build and upgrades it. 50 attack for the Granite Maul, as high strength as you can get and high range as you get. You can really keep these at whatever you want just because there'll be other people at that level as well. However, I recommend getting as high strength as possible and as high ranged. 31 prayer is good. 1 prayer works because you usually don't have a +1. However, 52 is also nice in case you want to have smite and protection prayers. Protection prayers will let you get the fire cape, which is really strong, but if not, 31 prayer is fine. 1 prayer is fine. Not having a fire cape is fine. You can just wear a team cape. And basically the idea is that you are going to be using your magic shortbow or rune knives of the Book of Law into the G-Maul stack. And there are other options for what you could use, but really these are the 2 best ones. I probably would use the magic shortbow because I just love how it looks and I love using it. Things you could wear, ring recoil, of course, climbing boots because now you have leeway with your attack experience. Mithril gloves or a combat bracelet. Black DI chaps if you have the range level. I would definitely recommend having those. Those are good. Decorative armor. If you don't have this, you can just wear leather body. Same thing with the coif and this halo up here. Book of Law and this if you're using knives or whatever other combat you're using. Glory, if not Glory, you can use a strength armor as well. That's fine. Pretty standard. You're just going to be using range to melee and just stack them with the G-Maul. You can also switch into a Tzarkat Olm or the Obsidian Maul later on with a necklace, which leads to a really high last hit. Though that's a little bit harder and I feel like it's not worth it. The next build is just going to be the 60 attack version of the build I just talked about. Once again, as high strength, as range as possible, and just with 60 attack this time. And you're going to be basically wearing the same gear as before, and you can switch it out for any of these. I probably recommend a strength ammy over a glory, actually, just because you don't need the accuracy too much from the glory that you get because you're fighting pures. But in this case, instead of using the Granite Maul, you're going to use your dragon weapons that you unlock at 60 attack. And so common combos are going to be your ranged weapon, I'd probably use MSB, into Dragon Claws. That's strong. You can use MSB into Dragon Dagger. However, you can also combo these with the Granite Maul as well. So MSB into Dragon Claws G-Maul is really strong. You can do MSB into double G-Maul, maybe Dragon Two-Handed Sword. Probably my favorite combo is going to be the MSB into the Dragon Dagger, and then G-Maul them after, and then do another Dragon Dagger. So that's, 4 specs and, 6 hits in a very, very small amount of time, and so that's really strong. This is also where I might recommend starting to get 52 prayer. Smite's really strong because you just hit so much on a pure, and a lot of pures are going to be risking their claws or something, so if you can get a Dragon Claws PK, that is massive. The last PKing build I want to talk about for pures at least is just going to be the same thing as before, but with 75 attack, and this is of course for the AGS. Everything is the same, just you're going to be using an AGS into a Gmaul as your main combo. We are out of the world of Purist and onto the next account build, which is going to be a Void Ranger. And the Void Ranger has tons of different options for what it can do. However, the basic build is going to be 42 defense, as high range as possible, and probably 52 prayer for smite. You can smite a lot of people because Void Range can hit so high. 94 mage is also a necessity just because Vengeance is so strong on the Lunar Spellbook and you need 40 defense for that. And so I definitely recommend getting that. And so the first thing you can do is basically knives into a ballista. Knife is really strong into the ballista switch. You can hide the ballista animation really well with the knife animation. You can also use magic shortbow into the ballista hit, and you can also combo in a ballista spec in there as well. Also, if you want, you can do this combo into melee, and this is really strong because you can stack everything together, and void melee is just one switch away. And so you get the full bonus of both voids for only one switch. So once again, you're going to be using your basic knives or MSB as your main weapon. I'd probably do an MSB or rune knives for this. And then what you're going to do is either do a ballista into a Gmaul. That's really strong. Just do one hit with the ballista and then finish them off with the granite maul. In that case, if you're doing this final melee switch, I'd probably recommend using a fire cape and an amulet of strength, although glory also works fine. And the other one you can do is just MSB or knives into just an AGS or D-Claws. Any of the normal combos we normally talk about with the Granite Maul or any of these other spec weapons works. You're just going to have to remember that you have to switch your helm. If you don't switch the helm, you lose tons of bonuses and tons of damage, and so your combo is going to look something like you have your MSB wielded, something like this, and then you're going to switch in your Void Vela helm, Armadyl Godsword, and spec. And so it's super strong because you get both bonuses from the Void, and it can smite people all the time. The first time I ever got smited was from a Void Ranger. The next build I'm going to talk about is the Zerker, which is called the Zerker because at 45 defense, which is what this account build is, and right now I'm 99 combat. My main account that I PK on has 95 HP, so it's 98 combat, but usually around this level. You get access to the Berserker helmet. And this helmet isn't that, it's not that big of an upgrade, but it is strong, and this is a great account build because you can wear things like Barrow's Gloves, the Fighter Torso, you have easy access to the Fire Cape because you're probably going to have a Protection Prayers, and the Berserker helmet. And so that gives you a lot of strength bonus, and so there's tons of different combos, but like I've said so many times, definitely the best one is going to be ranged to melee. And once again, you can do whatever attack level you want. 75 is my favorite because I love the Armadyl Godsword, but 60 works for the Dragon Claws or the Dragon Dagger. Even 50 works for the Granite Maul stack, but I think definitely the best is going to be MSB into the AGS Gmaul. Some people choose to take a Zerker 10 defense levels higher and go to 55 so they can wear the Helm of Natisnot. The next account builds start at 70 defense, and this is because of two things. The first one being that you can now wear Barrows equipment, and so stuff like Darking becomes an option, which is super high risk, super high reward, and super fun, although it's very hard to get into, and you need a lot of practice doing this. Also, Carols is an option, just because with the Amulet of the Damned, you can do a lot of damage in one big stack with a ranged to melee combo. Also, significantly, you also get access to the Piety, Augury, and Rigor Prayers. Most importantly, Piety and Rigor. These things deal so much damage when you have them, and so stuff like, you're just your normal Zerker combo, now you can wear a Helm of Natisnot, of course. This with Rigor into an AGS with Piety on can deal so much damage in one big stack, and it's super fun and super strong. And so at this point, I'd actually start wearing a Glory over a Amulet Strike, probably Dragon Boots at the same time, stuff like that. But for the most part, it's a lot of the same stuff as the previous build. You just have more options and access to the Broken Prayers. That's really the highest level you can go for new gear and new equipment, so not too many builds are based past that. 75 defense is when you get access to stuff like the Elysian and Serpentine Helm and stuff like that, but you don't really PK too much with that. And so really past that, if you're on a main, you can just PK with whatever you want. Any combo you want, you have all the stats for it. You probably have pretty high strength and range levels, which are the most important ones. And so you just go out there and have fun and you just do whatever you want. And if any of these builds sound really fun to PK with, go out and try them. You don't need to worry too much about your gear or your stats. If you have any questions, of course, feel free to leave them in the comments. I want to commentate over a quick Zerker clip that just kind of shows a lot of the things that I've been talking about, and I think illustrates a lot of stuff well. The first thing I want you to notice is who has PID. You should be able to tell by this arrow and when the hit spot shows up on me. See that he shoots the arrow and the hit spot shows up a little late. That means that I have PID. It means I can save a little bit less and sit a little bit lower HP because I can react to his spec. After that arrow, I'm going to be at 62 HP. 62 HP is a little bit low. I like sitting around 70. However, because I have PID, I'm not so worried about it because I know I can always eat. Now I'm just watching out for his spec, and you'll see me hovering my manta rays because I think he's going to go in soon. 51 HP. And this is the power of me having PID. He pulls out his AGS and Venges, which means that he's going to go in for it right now, but I have time to eat, and so I'm going to eat a Manta Ray, Super Restore Karambot combo, and there's no way he kills me here. After his combo, I'm at 71 HP, so, you know, he has almost no chance of killing me. He goes in for another hit there, which a lot of people do, and so you can actually get some good Venge combos out after that. But, you know, we're just kind of resetting the fight. I'm a little bit low in prayer here, but, you know, I'm fine. Here's another thing I want to show. This was good by him, actually. I had a fairly small XP drop, but I thought actually I was going to be able to kill him because he didn't expect it. But he actually ran away from me. That's something you can do to stop your opponents from specking. If they are not in the 2 tiles away thing that I've talked about so much, you actually have to run at them with your spec weapon. And so if you think they're going to go in, you can take a step back, which means they won't actually be able to spec you, which is what he did there. And so I pulled out my AGS. I realized that I hit his Vengeance, hitting me down to 50, and so I'm kind of worried, so I eat back up instead of specking him. Good thing that I did that because I was kind of worried about him anti-stacking me, and so he actually went for his AGS, hit a 46, which is fairly high, but I'm still at 43 HP, and so that was a very good eat by me. Now that he has no specs, I'm comfortable sitting around 55 to 65 health. I think that's a good place to stand. And so now I have a lot of tempo in the fight because I have both my specs and he knows that. Now I'm just looking for a big XP drop. That was a big XP drop. 100 is 17 as you can see. However, you can see I actually misclick on him, which is a little bit embarrassing. But that had a very good chance of killing him if I didn't do that. I ate a little bit too high there. I wish I didn't do that, but you know, that happens sometimes. This is an example of a neat thing you can do with one-ticking. I'm too far away to one-tick right now, but I clicked on the ground before I clicked on him, before I clicked my spec, which means I'm going to start running at him before and I can actually get the one-tick off. But I was too far away with that, and my arrow hit way before my AGS hit, and he was able to eat through it. That's fine though, I still got 50% spec left. Let's see if we can get it to use. I'm not too worried about him killing me. It's good to know the max hits of people. His max hit in this gear with his AGS is a 52. Just with a whack. With the spec it's going to be a 71. Same thing for me. And so that's kind of what I'm watching out for with my HP. Now, I see here he just whacked me a 22, right? But he's venged. And so I have to be careful here. I could go for a spec here. He's only at 54 HP, but he is vengeance, so that's a little bit worrying. I see that he pulls out his AGS again. And so he's probably going to whack me with it, and so I cast my Vengeance to be ready to spec him right after. He whacks me, I cast Vengeance, and he hits me a 33, reflecting 24 damage back, and I spec him back. He's still Vengeance from earlier, remember, and so I have to make sure that I eat up immediately after to make sure that I survive his Vengeance. I actually would have survived it, only my AGS, it would have killed me. 38, you know, I was on 24 HP. However, watch my inventory. I actually eat right as I spec, and the Vengeance won't kill me. There's his first whack. He goes back, pulls out his magic short bow for a fake, pulls out the AGS. I Vengeance, spec him, and then right after, eat up, and it doesn't kill me because of that. Note that I ate a Manta Ray, bring him up to 22 health. That means that if I hadn't ate that, his Vengeance would have killed me. So a good thing to do was eat right after you spec. That way, the Vengeance or the recoils of your opponent won't kill you. I think that just demonstrates a lot of things we've been talking about. Tick eating, you know, watching out for XP drops, PID, specking, and it's just a good example of what to do in a fight. One thing that drives a lot of people away from PKing, especially new players, is how much money you lose doing it if you're new. However, I can assure you that this changes once you practice enough. This is just a loot tab from about a month's worth of normal GE fights that shows that regular PKing can be profitable. But the thing I care about more is that I enjoyed myself. My final word to you guys before I end the series is that PKing is easily my favorite part of RuneScape, and if you guys are ever feeling burnt out or tired of any other aspects of the game, try coming down to PvP and fighting people. It's okay if you die, and it's okay if you don't do well when you start. I promise that as you practice more, it's going to be the most fun you will ever have in old school. And at the end of the day, that's what we're here for, right? You know, it's a game, and we want to have fun. You don't need to be worrying about slaving away at, Zor for 10 hours just to be able to afford the next upgrade on your gear. Why don't you spend those 10 hours PKing and just having fun? With that said, I will see you guys in my next video. I'm not sure where we're going to go to take this channel, but I am very excited for the future. I will see you guys next time.